Alright, so yesterday we saw CHAPPiE. It's a movie about basically a robot, and it's a lot like Boyhood, you know, but with a robot. So, these are our thoughts on CHAPPiE. CHAPPiE was basically the opposite of a critical success so far, but here are me and Aidan's thoughts on that movie. Aidan, would you like to begin and say what you thought about CHAPPiE?
CHAPPiE is not an original movie. It's pretty much a mixture of every movie you've ever seen before, but it's done incredibly well, and for some reason it's getting terrible reviews.
A good example of this, actually, I was reading a bunch of the Rotten Tomato reviews, because when they're bad, I like to see who gave it bad reviews, because if it's like Christian reviewer, obviously I just count it off. But in this case, we had a lot of reviewers just give it really... Everyone said it was like RoboCop. The one I thought was particularly weird was one person said it was like RoboCop starring Jar Jar Binks. Would you agree with that statement at all?
The premise of the movie's a lot like RoboCop. Basically, the main character, I can't remember his name.
The fucked up robot, kind of.
No, not the main character.
Oh, are you talking about Slumdog Millionaire?
The guy who made CHAPPiE, built an army of police robots who are like an army of RoboCops, and Hugh Jackman.
I also want to point out they're not living; they're robots. In case.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman created the robot from the start of RoboCop.
Yeah.
Except
the one
it's
from Omnicorp.
It doesn't have AI. The one Hugh Jackman built runs off a human brain. You have to connect your brain to the server to control it. And then there's also elements of Boyhood. You get to watch CHAPPiE grow up in front of your eyes. That was indirect. CHAPPIE was probably
the idea is that a lot of it's just like any other coming of age. The idea is that we watch this robot coming to age. And yeah, like a lot of people said, it wasn't like... A lot of people just said that CHAPPiE was annoying or they didn't care about him, but I mean, I think the whole idea of CHAPPIE's character is, if that's how you were raised, if you were raised by gangsters that had no idea what they were doing, you would turn out that way, especially if you were a robot that's highly influential.
CHAPPiE, if you want to be in the gang, you have to be cool, like Daddy. Look how Daddy walks. Look how cool he is. You need to keep a gangster.
You need to keep a gangster.
Yeah, you need to be cool.
Don't laugh, I'm being cool.
No, it's cool. Even when you put a gun, you have to be cool like this. Boom! Now you try.
No, I can't shoot people.
What?
I can't shoot them, they didn't do anything to me.
How are you gonna do the heist with us if you don't shoot people?
Based on their master and things like that. But
yeah, so the basic idea, once CHAPPiE gets built, a gang of criminals who owes a drug dealer money sets out to steal. They want to steal a remote control to turn off the robots because they're stupid criminals. They don't know that the robots don't work like that. But they accidentally end up stealing CHAPPiE and the AI, and they, with the help of the main character, whose name I can't remember, they build CHAPPiE. It's raised basically by the pop and rap duo of the real life pop and rap duo of Ninja and Yovani, something like that. Yolandi, that's what it is. And they raise him to be a gangster douchebag. Yolandi's trying to raise him to be a normal kid, and Ninja's trying to raise him to be a weapon.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny parts actually with Ninja and Yolandi. Mostly Ninja's character. When him and America, they're kind of the third in command. I don't know if he's actually part of the little pop group or what.
I think he is,
in real life. I would assume so, because they were the main three, but essentially America and Ninja are trying to train him through a lot of the movie, and a lot of those scenes are kind of funny. I don't see what a lot of people disliked. When I read reviews, a lot of people just said it was RoboCop not done as well, and obviously it's hard to do something as well as RoboCop, but really there weren't elements I really disliked, and I thought it was a good turn on those.
There were some really cute moments with, you know, CHAPPiE doesn't really understand what's going on because he has the mindset of a kid, and they're essentially raising a 5 or 6-year-old to be a gangster.
Yeah. Well, like he said too, he explained that he was a highly he was easily influenced. Just because he's a robot, so he absorbs information easier, so he takes things more literally right away. And that's why anything he kind of learns, he really excels at it, and he doesn't want to break those codes and things, which gets interesting later in the movie. And then you can kind of tell later on that they start to get attached to this robot, and he starts to gain his own personality and stuff, and it ends up being a pretty cool film. So I personally, like we said earlier, we enjoyed this movie. Do you want to do a favorite and least favorite part before we go on for anyone who just wants to watch to hear?
My favorite part was pretty much everything involving Chappie being raised. My least favorite part, in the middle there's or not in the middle, towards the end there's a big fight scene, and to me it was just unnecessary and kind of out of place.
See, I didn't hugely mind the fight scene. Honestly, yeah, a lot of my favorite parts, I guess my favorite part, actually this kind of goes under spoilers, but I will talk about it later, but one of my favorite parts, personally, had to have been when Ninja was training Chappie, and kind of the whole relationship between Ninja and Chappie, because Ninja was the one that was really holding out like it's just a robot who fucking cares, and then at the end you kind of see their relationship evolve into both Chappie and Ninja growing together, and I thought that was an interesting idea. So that was my favorite part. My least favorite part, I actually enjoyed the fight scene personally. We'll get into that more later probably. But my least favorite part was some of the sound effects and sound editing. I thought was weird. Like there was this part where, okay, so obviously the idea is to learn that Hugh Jackman, and this isn't a spoiler, but Hugh Jackman's robots, no one wants them. They're a lot more clunky. You need human pilots. They're just not as good as the normal AI in the company's opinion. So the board members are kind of listening to Hugh Jackman. Yeah, but at the time, they just thought he was fucking weird. But essentially they're listening to Hugh Jackman and they're eating all this food. And to show that they're really uninterested, they're doing like they're just kind of crunching their food and paying attention to their food. And for some reason the sound editor didn't just keep it natural or kind of like redo it like you could hear them like crunching and stuff. It was like super loud and it sounded just shitty, like I don't know. It was way too loud and out of place. Like they were talking normal, and then it just sounded like they were, I don't know, like they were stepping on whole bags of potato chips. It was just fucking annoying, and it was so loud. And like you got what the scene was. It was like these people couldn't give two shits what Hugh Jackman has to say, but it was just annoying that that you had to listen to that. And that was like the worst part about the sound editing in the movie. The rest of it was kind of like whatever, but honestly that was my least favorite part of the movie. I thought everything flowed really well. This movie definitely had great pacing to it for the most part.
You know what else I noticed about the sound?
Yeah.
A lot of the music, almost all of it, I believe, was Yolandi and Ninja songs.
Yeah, because I was wondering why they, like, I didn't know they were pop singers till after I was reading up on the movie. And I learned that, and then there was a lot of weird parts in the movie where you heard, like, Ninja say Ninja, and I was like, why would they make songs for this movie where they're just calling themselves out? Like, that's kind of calling out their characters. I just thought
it's
it was
even
fucking
weirder because they're listening to their own music in the car as different characters that are named the same thing.
Yeah, well, I thought they might have got their nicknames from there. That kind of crossed my mind. But in the end, I was just like, whatever. Fuck it, I don't care. It kind of took me out of the movie at the time, and now that I know that in retrospect, I'm fine with it. But, yeah, like I said, again, here's where we're going to cross into spoilers. Hugh Jackman's basically the villain, and in the end, he deactivates all the robots that are protecting the city.
Called Scouts.
And everyone, the city and the cops kind of turn against the Scouts, so, the weapon manufacturer played by Keanu Reeves.
What?
What?
What weapon?
The weapon designer owner lady?
Yeah, there's Sigourney Weaver from Alien appears.
Who's Kanye Reeves?
Kanye Reeves is from John Wick and The Matrix.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get them mixed up because they have funny names.
Okay.
That was
Whatever.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney. Now you're missing. Whatever.
Okay, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
She owns a weapons company, and in the end, basically she gives Hugh Jackman the okay just to try and cover the company's tracks and kill a bunch of people with the robots. And that's where we get the big fight scene, where eventually, what was her character?
Yolandi?
Yeah, Yolandi's character, or Yolandi dies, and then Chappie ends up reincarnating both Yolandi and the guy who's gosh, we should.
I don't know his name. Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire.
I feel bad referring to him as that.
We could have done more research for this video, but we're in a rush. Whatever. So basically, he ends up reviving them, and this was another part I really liked. Like, I thought it was nice that it ended on a happy note. I feel like a lot of movies nowadays, like, when I heard, like, they set from the start, like, basically, Chappie has a time limit. He's gonna die after 5 days.
Yeah, so
the
Chappie,
whole time, I figured it was gonna be depressing. Then the mom died, and,
Chappie is built from a robot that was destroyed,
I think
that was stolen. He was built from a destroyed robot.
But essentially, he was supposed to have 5 days to live because the battery was fused, or some bullshit explanation, but... in the end, he ends up getting his body transferred. He survives, and then so does Slumdog Millionaire and Yolandi, and Ninja already survived anyway. So it ended up with a happy ending, and especially that movie, like when the mom died, and it looked like Slumdog Millionaire was about to die. It was kind of, I thought it was going to end on a depressing note, because I know a lot of movies these days like to do that. Great example recently, maybe not a great example, but a example recently, kind of like Interstellar, where it goes to the ultra future, where the daughter just happens to be dying and shit, and it's just depressing ending for the movie, really. Kind of ends happy there, like they saved the world, but at the same time, you know, the characters end this happy. But the idea is recently, especially in recent times, I figured from the start how they were just setting up Chappie to be a character that was so likable. At least in my opinion, they were going for likable, and I thought he was a pretty likable character. I thought they were setting him up just to get killed.
Yeah, when they mentioned that Chappie had 5 days to live, you're like, okay, I know how this is gonna end. He's in danger of dying.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if they killed him too, because if they did,
I was gonna say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just go.
You're kind of like, oh, they're gonna find some way to transfer his mind, and it's gonna be a sweet ending. And I was kind of, even though I'm glad that it ended on a happy ending, it was a different happy ending than the one we got. Plot is more about Chappie learns to fear his god, which is Slumdog Millionaire, his creator, because he realizes that he was created just to die, and there's conflict between the characters because of that. Chappie's afraid of dying, which is why he kind of falls into the life of crime despite resisting it, and a lot of stuff happens in the middle. That's a little tricky to explain, but that's the gist of it, and it works really nice.
The nice thing about Chappie surviving, in my opinion, was since they did that, there was more to get invested in that character right from the get-go. And I think it was a good thing in the end of the movie, and I think for future runs watching the movie, I would like it. But right away, I heard, you have 5 days to live, so I instantly had a harder time starting to like Chappie, because they kind of just built him up to get killed in the long run anyways, so I didn't know why to get invested in the character. And then later on, you're invested in the character, so I kind of wanted him to survive.
Interestingly, it's brought up at the very start of the movie that he has 5 days to live, and it's pretty much ignored for a grand majority of the movie. It doesn't become a focus until...
Well, actually, if you look on him the whole time, you can see the bar start to slowly
Yeah, but they never
scenes.
actively bring it up or point it out or make it important until Chappie himself realizes what it means.
Yeah, well, I think they were kind of trying to get that off the audience's mind, because if they're like, you have 5 days to live, then the audience would have a harder time connecting with it, which I thought was a smart move. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed this movie. The action scene, I could see it being a little over the top because the action scene was kind of a clusterfuck between the gangster plot and Chappie's overall arc.
Yeah, the drug dealer comes
and
back
it kind of just tried to wrap it all up in one neat fight scene at the end, one package. I think it could have been done in two just as easily. Like, I thought what would have been better is instead of having Chappie go on the heist, which he did end up doing, but there's no reason to get into that really. Instead of having Chappie rob that truck, I figured what he should have done was he should have killed those gangsters with them, and then after that after he kills the gangsters, that's when his fight comes up with that guy. Because in the end, it seemed like a big ass clusterfuck. But I suppose that was to give the main villain more people to kill, pretty much. But I could see that fight being a little over the top. But the nice thing about this movie is, another nice thing about this movie is it's really not action-oriented. It's really just the one fight scene. There are some action parts, but for the most part, you're just supposed to get invested in this character and like it. And I kind of was confused why so many people didn't find Chappie to be a likable character. I mean, in a film, I don't know... just the idea is to have moments that make you start to like the characters and appreciate them. I thought that was there, and
Chappie had a lot.
Especially Chappie. I don't think it would have been an effective movie if he wasn't a little over the top, and not over the top necessarily, but if he didn't kind of become this like gangster. So influential, childy, because if they didn't, then that would be hard to do. People comparing him to Jar Jar, obviously they haven't seen The Phantom Menace, because Jar Jar is all tears of annoying. At no point does Chappie step in the poopy. Does Chappie, make really annoying noises. Chappie just seems like he's influenced by everyone around him, and
Chappie's pretty clearly just a kind of a child lost in...
Yeah, and then obviously another thing through that is through his innocence they kind of try and show that he's more human than a lot of these humans like Hugh Jackman and stuff.
He also has some nice moments, like he doesn't understand the concept of killing, so his dad, Ninja, teaches him that when you stab someone with a knife, it just puts them to sleep. And during the heist that they pull off, he believes he's putting everyone to sleep. He doesn't realize exactly that he's doing... he doesn't actually kill them, but he injures them.
He doesn't kill the one at least, and I think the other two survive too, but... because that was another moment that was good. He stabs the guy with the ninja star, and the guy's like, why are you doing this, pretty much. And then Chappie's like, I didn't kill you, just go to sleep, and shit like that. And he doesn't understand. And later he's starting to realize that he's getting tricked, but he starts to, get molded more by his world and learn that it's a dark place, and he starts to learn what he needs to become through society. Another thing I want to compliment, I think I was cut off when I said this, they actually paced a lot well. It wasn't like one day he was just a kid that couldn't speak and do all this stuff. They kind of progressively had him learn, and obviously he learned at an excelled rate. If you watch the movie, they explain this, but he wasn't like instantly one moment completely innocent and then the next moment completely aware of society. Even at the end, he wasn't fully aware, but he was learning. And I just thought, so I don't understand why this movie's getting such bad reviews. It's getting a lot of really bad reviews. I don't know. I would say personally watch it. Probably by the time anyone watches this video, it'll be long out of theaters, but you should go back and retrospectively rent it if you're watching this video.
It's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
I would definitely suggest it. I'll probably do a more in-depth review when the Blu-ray comes out or something. But that was our first video. We're gonna
have a robot that is operated by a thinking human being.
We don't want this. It's expensive, it's big, and it's ugly.
The Scouts are a huge success. Stop worrying about these pet projects.
I think I've got...
Some say he's nuts.
To the moon, Alice!
Some say he's bolts.
Muchas gracias.
But everyone agrees he's America's most electric leading man.
Mercy and home!
He's
the all-new Johnny 5. Just look at these items. Increased memory, 500 megabytes online. I come with a utility pack. Dozens of gadgets for outdoor living. Lots of green pea stickers and even my own Nike swoosh.
Now he's back and haywired for laughs in his newest motion picture adventure, Short Circuit 2.
Winners all the time. Keep your eye on the red card. Red card. Get away from me. Kid, you bother me.
So keep your eye on the current thing, Short Circuit 2.